Chandamama Mahabharata, Part 25. Draupadi's Disrobing. Dharmaraja lost Draupadi as well. Now, nothing remained for him to lose. Duryodhan shouted, "Summon Draupadi, she must sweep this assembly hall." Unable to contain his rage, Vidura said to Duryodhan, "You fool! Having lost your senses, you speak whatever comes to your mouth. Provoking the anger of the Pandavas is akin to inciting venomous serpents. How did Draupadi become your slave?" Dharmaraja wagered Draupadi only after he had lost his own freedom, and turning toward the assembly, he added, "This Duryodhan is a dimwit, he does not heed my words. Destruction shall soon befall the Kauravas." Ignoring all these words, Duryodhan called a man named Pratikami and said, "Go to the inner apartments immediately and bring Draupadi here. You need not fear these Pandavas in the slightest." Upon receiving Duryodhan's command, Pratikami entered the Pandav's residence and said, "Panchali, your husband Dharmaraja staked you in the gambling match and lost to Duryodhan. Therefore, you are now a slave to Duryodhan. It is his command that you come to the house of Dhritarashtra. Does any Kshatriya ever stake his wife in gambling? Has Dharmaraja lost his mind?" "Tell me exactly what happened," Draupadi asked. "Dharmaraja lost everything he possessed in the gamble, and when there was nothing left to wager, he staked and lost his brothers, and finally lost both himself and you as well," Pratikami replied. "O man! Return to the assembly and find out from him whether he lost me before losing himself, or if he lost himself first and then lost me," Draupadi declared. Pratikami returned to the place where the gambling occurred and conveyed Draupadi's doubt to Dharmaraja. Hearing this question, Dharmaraja was overwhelmed by profound grief and could say nothing. Duryodhan said to Pratikami, "Tell her to come to the assembly herself and resolve her doubt personally. Go." Pratikami went back to Draupadi once more and said, "Mother, the members of the assembly say that you should come in person and clear your doubt." Pratikami: "It is very wrong for me to come to that assembly. That would be a great stain on the reputation of the Kauravas. Ask the people in the assembly to answer my question, and after that, I will do whatever they command," Draupadi said. Pratikami informed the assembly of her words. Those in the assembly remained silent with their heads bowed, unable to say anything against Duryodhan. Sensing this, Dharmaraja sent a messenger along with Pratikami to bring Draupadi. After that messenger conveyed that Dharmaraja was calling her, Draupadi, despite being in seclusion due to her menstrual period, went to the assembly with Pratikami and stood at a distance facing Dhritarashtra. The Pandavas, unable to face anyone, sat dejectedly and sorrowfully with their heads bowed. Observing their state of mind, Duryodhan grew even more arrogant and said to Pratikami, "Why are you just watching? Bring her here." Pratikami felt afraid to touch Draupadi. Addressing those in the assembly, he asked, "What have you commanded me to tell Draupadi?" Realizing that the man was afraid of Bhima, Duryodhan said to Dushasana in a low voice, "Dushasana, drag her here. These enemies, who have become our slaves, can do nothing." Abandoning all sense of honor and respect, Dushasana approached Draupadi, saying, "Draupadi, come here, your husbands have lost you to us. Why the shame? Love our Duryodhan. Choose the Kauravas." Pale with fear, Draupadi covered her face with her hands and began moving toward Gandhari. Dushasana pursued her, saying, "Where else will you go?" and pulled her by the hair. Draupadi, who had become helpless despite having 5 great heroes as husbands, trembled violently and said in a faint voice, "O mindless one! I am currently in my monthly course. I must not be brought into the midst of the assembly." To that, Dushasana replied, "What if you are in your course, or even if you are without clothes? Your husband lost you to us in gambling. You are our slave. From today, you shall be along with our other maidservants." Saying this, he dragged Draupadi by the hair into the center of the assembly. Draupadi's hair became unfastened, and her garment was half disarrayed. Shame and anger consumed her. She said to Dushasana, "Wicked one! I should not stand like this before all these elders who are like fathers. Do not place me in such a humiliating state. You shall suffer for this sinful act. Everyone in this assembly knows dharma. Yet, not one person rebukes you. The lineage of Bharat has perished. It seems that even Bhishma, Drona, Vidura, and Dhritarashtra are unable to stop this injustice, and she looked fiercely at the Pandavas. Dushasana said, "O slave woman." At that mockery, Karna, Shakuni, and Duryodhan burst into laughter. Others grieved within themselves. Then Bhishma said to Draupadi, "Mother, it is difficult to explain the subtleties of dharma. It is indeed a mistake for Dharmaraja to wager you, the wife of 5. But Dharmaraja would sooner give up his everything than abandon righteousness. Would he lose you in gambling to deceive you?" To this, Draupadi said, "Did Dharmaraja enter this unwanted gamble, fall victim to deceit, lose everything, and then wager me when nothing else remained? The elders of the Kauravas, who provide maintenance to their sons and daughters-in-law according to the rules, must enlighten me," and she wept. Dushasana spoke unspeakable words. Hearing those words, Bhima said to Dharmaraja, "Even gamblers do not wager wives who lack virtue. It is a great injustice that you staked the most sacred Draupadi. You may have lost all wealth and even us, but the hands that staked Panchali must be burnt. Sahadev, bring fire." Hearing this, Arjuna said to Bhima, "Why do you now hurt the mind of our brother after having endured for so long? Has your sense of righteousness also been corrupted because of these gamblers? Is it right to revile an elder?" Dharmaraja did not play the gamble of his own accord. He played to uphold the duty of a king when others invited him. Dharmaraja has committed no fault, be calm. Seeing that no one in the assembly answered Draupadi's question, Vikarn, one of the sons of Dhritarashtra, shouted loudly several times, "Answer the question asked by Draupadi. Why do the elders of the Kuru clan and the teachers remain silent? Speak the truth without partiality and without likes or dislikes." No one spoke. He continued further, "If you do not speak justice, I shall. Listen. A king who is a slave to these 4 women, hunting, gambling, and drinking, cannot stand by righteousness. Due to the vice of gambling, Dharmaraja lost his everything, his brothers and himself, and finally lost Draupadi. Draupadi belongs to all the Pandavas, but she is not the personal property of Dharmaraja. It is an injustice to bring her into this assembly in this manner. This is my judgment of the matter." Karna interrupted Vikarn and said, "Has a youth like you understood the righteousness that none of the elders in this assembly know? When Dharmaraja lost his entire self, he lost Draupadi as well. That is why the Pandavas do not speak. You said it is an injustice to bring this Draupadi to this assembly. A woman who has 5 husbands is unjust. It is not wrong to strip the clothes of such a woman in the full assembly." Dushasana, there is no use in Vikarn's babbling. You go and strip the clothes of the Pandavas and the clothes of Draupadi and bring them. As soon as Karna spoke thus, the Pandavas removed their upper garments and placed them aside. Dushasana began to pull at Draupadi's sari. Then Draupadi prayed to Krishna to protect her. Krishna arrived there invisibly and kept providing many saris to Draupadi. No matter how many saris Dushasana pulled away, a sari remained on Draupadi's body. On one side, the heap of saris stripped by Dushasana grew like a small mountain. Dushasana grew exhausted and stopped. Bhima, with uncontrollable rage, bit his lower lip, struck the ground with his hand, and declared, "Listen everyone. I shall kill this Dushasana in battle who attempted to outrage the modesty of Draupadi, tear open his chest, and drink his blood. This is my vow." After all this happened, Vidura stood up, raised his hands, and said, "Members of the assembly, if a proper answer is not given to Draupadi's question, it becomes an act of unrighteousness." Despite so many being present, only Vikarn expressed his opinion. "If you do not render justice to those in distress, half of the sin of falsehood will attach to all of you." Even then, no one spoke. Duryodhan signaled to Draupadi and showed his thigh. Seeing this, Bhima was further enraged and made a terrible vow that he would break Duryodhan's thighs with a make in battle. He appeared like a blazing flame of fire. Duryodhan said to Draupadi, "There is no fault on my part. If Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadev declare that Dharmaraja is not their master, you shall have no slavery." Then Arjuna said, "It is true that Dharmaraja is the master of us all. But the Kauravas must state who he was the master of after he had already lost himself." At that time, many ill omens occurred. Seeing that, Dhritarashtra was terrified and rebuked his son, saying, O Duryodhan, you wicked fellow! Why did you bring Draupadi to the assembly by force? Why this enmity against the Pandavas? What is this injustice? He then called Draupadi near and said, Mother, you are the best among my daughters-in-law, ask for whatever you desire, my daughter. Draupadi requested freedom from slavery for the Pandavas and the return of their weapons to them. Aha! Today, a woman has rescued the Pandavas. Karna mocked. Bhima assumed a terrifying form and said he would annihilate all the enemies that very moment. With great difficulty, Arjuna and Dharmaraja pacified him. Later, Dharmaraja asked Dhritarashtra, O king, what is your command for us? My son, you and your brothers go to Indraprastha and rule the kingdom happily. I agreed when you said you would play a gamble in a friendly manner. It was my mistake not to stop it. Look upon us old people and Gandhari, and forget the evil deeds committed by my sons. May prosperity attend you and your brothers, said Dhritarashtra. The Pandavas took leave of all the elders and returned to Indraprastha along with Draupadi. Chandamama Mahabharata, Part 25 is complete. For now, Swasti.